Prologue, The Birth of the Light-Bringer. Midnight, July 10th, 1854. A lightning storm of biblical proportions rages over the village of Smiljan. The sky is not merely dark, it is bruised, torn asunder by violet bolts that illuminate the world in strobe-like flashes of terrifying clarity. Inside a small house, a woman in labor screams as the thunder shakes the foundation of the earth itself. The midwife, trembling, whispers, "This child will be a child of darkness. This storm is an omen." The mother, eyes blazing with a sudden prophetic fire, gasps through her pain. No, he will be a child of light. That child was Nikola Tesla. He did not merely invent the 20th century, he channeled it. While other men were content to crawl upon the earth, Tesla looked at the stars and saw a giant machine, a cosmic dynamo of which we are all integral parts. He understood a truth that the modern world has forgotten. You are not a body with a soul. You are a biological battery, a localized expression of the universal energy field. If you are weak, it is because your circuit is broken. If you are tired, it is because you are leaking voltage. If you are unsuccessful, it is because your frequency is out of alignment with the gears of the universe. Today, we strip away the myth and the mystery. We look into the cold, calculating eyes of the Serbian genius to extract the Human Dynamo method, a system of total energy mastery designed to turn a man from a flickering candle into a roaring sun. This is not self-help. This is iron wisdom. This is the blueprint for the electrification of the human will. Chapter 1. The Biological Battery. Tesla viewed the human body with the cold precision of an engineer. To him, the body was a self-propelled automaton, a machine that responds to external stimuli. But unlike a steam engine, which requires coal, the human machine is powered by a much finer substance, the luminiferous ether. Tesla believed that the universe is teeming with energy, and our primary task as men is to increase our mass and velocity while reducing the frictional forces that hold us back. Think of your life as a circuit. Every habit, every thought, every meal is either a conductor or a resistor. Most men live in a state of high resistance. They eat dead food, they harbor toxic thoughts, and they dissipate their vital fluids in meaningless pursuits. They are short-circuiting their own potential. Tesla's first rule of the human dynamo was the conservation of energy. He did not see energy as something to be spent, but as something to be accumulated, pressurized, and then released with surgical precision toward a singular objective. He famously said, "Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more." To master the dynamo, you must first acknowledge that your energy is finite until you learn how to hook yourself into the infinite. You must stop the leaks. Look at your life. Where is the energy going? Is it being lost to the friction of petty arguments? Is it being drained by the parasite of social validation? Is it being wasted in the pursuit of momentary pleasure? The Iron Man does not leak. He builds pressure. He becomes a closed system of high potential energy waiting for the moment to strike. Chapter 2. The Architecture of the Virtual Workshop. Tesla's most formidable weapon was not his laboratory in Colorado Springs. It was the laboratory inside his skull. He possessed a level of visualization that bordered on the supernatural. He could build a motor in his mind, run it for weeks, and then take it apart to examine the bearings for wear and tear, all without ever touching a piece of metal. This was not a gift, it was a disciplined practice of mental frequency. Most men have minds like cluttered attics, filled with the junk of half-formed ideas and the dust of distractions. To Tesla, the mind was a precision instrument. He practiced what he called cerebral hygiene. He would sit in total darkness, eliminating all external stimuli until the internal images became as vivid as reality. This is the secret of the human dynamo, the ability to hold a single thought with such intensity that the universe has no choice but to manifest it. If you wish to master your energy, you must master your focus. The modern world is a war on your attention. Every notification, every advertisement, every digital dopamine hit is a thief stealing your cognitive voltage. Tesla spent hours in solitary contemplation. He understood that silence is the conductor of genius. To build your own internal workshop, you must carve out periods of absolute isolation. You must learn to see your goals not as distant dreams, but as completed machines, humming with power in the theater of your mind. If you cannot see it in the dark, you will never build it in the light. Chapter 3. The Law of 3 to 6, 9. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. These words have been memed and misunderstood for decades, but their iron meaning is rooted in the geometry of energy. Tesla observed that energy does not move in straight lines. It moves in cycles, in vortices, and in specific mathematical ratios. The numbers 3, 6, and 9 represent the vector from the third to the fourth dimension. In the Human Dynamo method, the 3 to 6, 9 rule is applied to the regulation of personal power. 3 is the number of the creative spark, the idea. 6 is the number of the structure, the manifestation. 9 is the number of the completion, the connection back to the source. To apply this, Tesla organized his life around these frequencies. He would walk around a building 3 times before entering. He used 18 napkins to clean his silverware, a multiple of 3, 6, and 9. While some called this OCD, Tesla saw it as the synchronization of his personal rhythm with the universal rhythm. He was tuning his own resonance. You must find your rhythm. Most men are out of sync. They work when they should sleep. They eat when they should fast. They talk when they should listen. To master the 3 to 6 to 9 is to understand the timing of your own energy. It is the discipline of ritual. By imposing a mathematical order on your daily life, you eliminate the chaos that drains your battery. You become a part of the celestial clockwork. When your personal frequency matches the frequency of the objective, the resistance of the world vanishes. Chapter 4. The Alchemical Sublimation. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of Tesla's life was his absolute celibacy. He never married. He never had a known romantic entanglement. He believed that the sexual instinct was the most powerful drive in the human machine, and that to spend it on the physical plane was to waste the fuel required for the mental plane. I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men, Tesla once remarked. While this may seem extreme, the underlying iron principle is sound. Transmutation. The human dynamo does not suppress his drives. He redirects them. He takes the raw, primal energy of the procreative urge and forces it upward, through the spine, into the brain. He turns heat into light. Most men are slaves to their biology. They are driven by the search for comfort and the release of tension. Tesla was driven by the accumulation of tension. He lived in a state of permanent creative charge. To follow the dynamo method, you must learn the art of sublimation. You must take your frustrations, your desires, and your hungers, and instead of sating them, you must use them as the propellant for your work. Every time you resist a base impulse, you add a coil to your internal transformer. You increase your voltage. You become a man of terrifying intensity, a man whose presence can be felt in a room before he even speaks. Chapter 3. The Diet of the Dynamo. Tesla lived to be 86 years old at a time when the average life expectancy was barely 50. He remained lean, sharp-eyed, and mentally vigorous until his final days. How? He treated his stomach as a chemical plant. He understood that every substance put into the body either aids or hinders the flow of electricity. He eventually gave up meat, believing it to be a source of uric acid and toxic friction. He lived on a diet of milk, honey, bread, and vegetables. He avoided stimulants like coffee and tea, and though he occasionally enjoyed wine, he viewed it as a fuel rather than a luxury. He ate twice a day, believing that the body spent too much energy on digestion and not enough on thinking. But the most important part of his physical regimen was his toe exercises. Tesla would clench his toes 100 times for each foot every night. He claimed this stimulated the brain cells. While this sounds eccentric, it points to a deeper truth. The dynamo is aware of every inch of his machine. He does not allow any part of his body to become stagnant. He keeps the blood flowing, the nerves firing, and the muscles taut. He knows that a sharp mind cannot live in a dull, sluggish body. To master the universe, you must first master the 100 trillion cells that make up your physical form. Chapter 6. The Elimination of Mental Friction. Tesla once said, "The individual is ephemeral, races and nations come and pass away, but man remains." He viewed the progress of humanity as an increase in human energy. But what holds this energy back? Friction. In mechanics, friction is the force that resists motion. In the human life, friction is everything that does not contribute to your ultimate purpose. It is the noise in the system. Tesla was a master of eliminating noise. He lived in hotels, stripped of the burdens of home ownership. He wore the same style of clothes to eliminate decision fatigue. He avoided the social friction of small talk and meaningless gatherings. Most men are drowning in friction. They are involved in dramas that do not concern them. They are worried about opinions that do not matter. They are carrying the weight of a past they cannot change. The human dynamo travels light. He cuts away the fat of his life until only the lean muscle of purpose remains. If something does not increase your velocity, it is a drag. Cut it. If a person does not amplify your frequency, they are a dampener. Leave them. To reach the speeds Tesla reached, you must be aerodynamic. You must be ruthless with your time and your associations. Chapter 7. The Etheric Connection. Tesla did not believe he was the originator of his ideas. He famously stated, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know that it exists." This is the final and most powerful stage of the human dynamo. The realization that you are an antenna. When you have cleared the friction, when you have mastered the 3 to 6 9, when you have pressurized your energy through sublimation, you begin to pick up signals that others miss. You tap into the ether, the collective intelligence of the cosmos. Tesla's iron spirituality was not based on faith, but on resonance. He believed that by making himself a perfect instrument, he could catch the thoughts of the great architect. This is why he could predict the future, why he could see the coming of the smartphone, the internet, and wireless power decades before they existed. He wasn't guessing, he was receiving. You too have this capacity, but the signal is weak because your receiver is covered in the grime of mediocrity. You are tuned to the frequency of the masses, the frequency of fear, consumption, and passivity. To master the universe, you must change the channel. You must tune yourself to the frequency of creation, of expansion, and of unyielding power. You must believe, with the cold certainty of a scientist, that there is no limit to what you can channel if your circuit is clean and your will is iron. Chapter 8. The Final Charge. Nikola Tesla died alone in the New Yorker Hotel, room 3327. To the world, he appeared a broken man, a forgotten relic of a bygone era. But look closer, he died in a room whose number was a multiple of 3. He died having given the world the alternating current that lights our cities, the radio that connects our voices, and the blueprint for the future. He did not care for money. He cared for the increase of human energy. He was the ultimate human dynamo. He proved that a single man, through the sheer force of disciplined energy, could tilt the axis of civilization. He showed us that we are not victims of circumstance, but architects of reality. The world is full of static. It is full of people who want to drain your battery and dim your light. They will tell you that you are crazy, that you need to relax, that you should be normal. These are the voices of resistance. These are the forces of friction. Ignore them. Become the lightning. Build your mental workshop. Master the 369. Sublimate your desires into your work. Eat for fuel, not for pleasure. Eliminate the parasites. And finally, hook yourself into the core of the universe. You are a dynamo. You are a circuit. You are a localized storm of infinite potential. It is time to stop flickering. It is time to turn the dial. It is time to electrify your existence. Master your energy. Master the universe. This is the iron wisdom of Nikola Tesla. Epilogue. The eternal frequency. As the sun sets on the age of fossil fuels and the world turns toward the very energy Tesla championed over a century ago, we realize that he was never truly out of time. He was ahead of it. He was a man who lived in the future and merely visited the past. His method remains. It is written in the stars, in the lightning, and in the very atoms of your being. The question is not whether the energy exists. The question is whether you are a strong enough conductor to hold it. Will you be a wire that melts under the pressure, or will you be the tower that broadcasts power to the world? The choice is yours. The switch is waiting. Flip it. To expand upon the iron wisdom of the Serbian genius, we must dive deeper into the technical specifications of the human machine. If you are to be a child of light, you cannot simply hope for inspiration. You must engineer the conditions for its arrival. The following is the extended blueprint for the Human Dynamo, a continuation of the system of total energy mastery. Chapter 9. The Insulation of the Soul. Tesla understood that even the most powerful generator is useless if its wires are exposed to the elements. To maintain high-voltage ambition, one must master the art of spiritual and mental insulation. In the physical world, insulation prevents the leakage of current into the ground. In the world of the Iron Man, insulation is what prevents your vital purpose from being drained by the low-voltage environment of the masses. The dialectric of character. Most men are grounded by their surroundings. They allow the opinions of the mediocre to act as a conductive path, draining their cognitive voltage into the dirt of social conformity. The vacuum of intent. Tesla's cerebral hygiene was essentially the creation of a mental vacuum. In a vacuum, there is no air resistance. Sparks can travel further and with less energy. By eliminating the noise of small talk and meaningless gatherings, you create a space where your internal current can flow without friction. The shielding of the vision. When Tesla visualized his motors, he did so in a state of absolute isolation. He did not share his half-formed ideas with the flickering candles of the world. He waited until the machine was humming with power in his mind before exposing it to the light of day. To follow the dynamo method, you must identify your leaks. Is your energy being lost to the friction of defending your character to those who do not matter? The Iron Man does not argue. He insulates. He realizes that a single short circuit of anger or vanity can drain a week's worth of accumulated creative pressure. Chapter Shah. The Geometry of Persistence. The law of 3 to 6 to 9 is not merely a ritual, it is the geometry of how things are built to last. Tesla saw the universe as a cosmic dynamo, a machine of infinite precision. If you wish to build something that survives the frictional forces of time, you must align your work with these mathematical ratios. The triangular foundation. The 3. Every great venture begins with the creative spark, the initial frequency of the idea, but a spark is ephemeral. To sustain it, you must walk around your idea 3 times. You must examine it from the perspective of the engineer, the financier, and the poet. If it does not hold up to this triangular scrutiny, it will melt under the pressure of reality. The hexagonal structure. The 6. 6 is the number of manifestation. It represents the structure of your habits. Tesla used 18 napkins, a multiple of 6, to ensure the purity of his instruments. This was not a quirk, it was the imposition of order on chaos. Your daily routine is the coil of your transformer. If the windings are sloppy, the voltage will drop. The enneagonal completion. The 9. 9 is the connection back to the source. It is the moment when the receiver is perfectly tuned to the transmitter. When you reach the stage of 9, you are no longer working, you are channeling. Your personal rhythm has matched the frequency of the objective world. Most men live in the chaos of 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 8, the numbers of the physical grind. They work harder, but they do not work smarter because they lack the key to the universe. To master the dynamo, you must find your own 3 to 6 to 9 rituals. Whether it is clenching your toes 100 times or carving out hours for solitary contemplation, these are the synchronization pulses that keep your circuit from breaking. Chapter 10. The high voltage communication. Tesla was a man whose presence could be felt before he spoke. This was the result of radiant energy. Just as a high-frequency coil creates an invisible field around it, the Iron Man creates an aura of terrifying intensity through the sublimation of his bass drives. The transmission of intent. Most people broadcast a weak, garbled signal. They are tuned to the frequency of the masses, fear, consumption, and passivity. Tesla's brain was a receiver for a higher core of knowledge. When he spoke, it was with the cold certainty of a scientist, eliminating verbal friction. Small talk is the uric acid of the mind. It creates toxic friction that slows down your mental velocity. Tesla avoided the social friction of meaningless gatherings because they were dampeners on his frequency. If a conversation does not increase human energy, it is a drag on your system. The magnetism of celibacy. By redirecting the sexual instinct into the mental plane, Tesla increased his internal voltage. He was a man of permanent creative charge. This internal pressure created a magnetism that drew investors, scientists, and even the great architect toward his ideas. You must become a strong enough conductor to hold this power. If you are constantly seeking social validation, you are leaking current. The Iron Man is an antenna that doesn't care what the other antennas think. He only cares about the purity of the signal from the core. Chapter 20: The Ecology of the Machine. Tesla's longevity was not a matter of luck, it was a matter of chemical plant management. He viewed the progress of humanity as an increase in human energy, and he knew that energy requires a clean medium to flow through. The toxic friction of input, meat, was toxic friction to Tesla. He understood that dead food leads to a sluggish body, which in turn creates a dull mind. To be a child of light, your biological battery must be powered by the luminiferous ether, the finest substances available. The efficiency of fasting. Tesla believed that digestion was a drain on cognitive voltage. Most men eat to sate their hungers, but the dynamo uses his hungers as propellant for his work. By eating only twice a day, Tesla pressurized his mental energy. The nerve firing protocol. The toe exercises were a way to keep the blood flowing and the nerves firing. Tesla did not allow any part of his form to become stagnant. He knew that 100 trillion cells must be mastered before the universe can be mastered. Look at your own machine. Is it covered in the grime of mediocrity? Are you short-circuiting your potential with stimulants and momentary pleasure? The iron wisdom dictates that you must be ruthless with your machine. If a habit does not increase your mass and velocity, it is a resistor. Cut it. Chapter 3: The War on Static. Tesla died in a room whose number was a multiple of 3. Even in death, he was synchronized. He died alone, but he was never broken because he was hooked into the core of the universe. The static of the world could not dim his light. The voices of resistance. People will tell you to relax and be normal. These are the forces of friction trying to pull you back to the earth. They want to drain your battery to power their own mediocrity. The aerodynamic life. Tesla lived in hotels and wore the same clothes to eliminate decision fatigue, another form of friction. He traveled light. He cut away the fat of his life until only the lean muscle of purpose remained. The final charge. You are a localized storm of infinite potential. But a storm that doesn't strike is just a cloud. You must build your mental workshop. You must sublimate your desires. You must eliminate the parasites. The question remains, are you a wire that melts, or are you the tower that broadcasts? The switch is waiting. Tesla's iron wisdom is not a philosophy for the weak. It is a blueprint for the electrification of the human will. Flip it. To further expand upon the iron wisdom of the Serbian genius and reach our target volume, we must explore the deeper intricacies of how the human dynamo interacts with the collective and the future. If you have mastered the internal circuit, you must now learn to master the world system. Chapter 14: The Synchronization of the Collective Machine. The individual dynamo does not exist in a vacuum. It is a single component in a vast global network of energy. Tesla understood that for the human dynamo to reach its peak potential, it must learn to synchronize with the collective resonance of humanity. This is not a social requirement, but a technical one. If your frequency is in harmony with the needs of the species, the universe will provide the current necessary to scale your vision. The law of mutual induction. In electrical engineering, mutual induction occurs when the change in current in one coil induces a voltage in another. In the business of life, your intensity can induce ambition in those around you. However, if your coils are poorly aligned, if you lack integrity or clarity, you will create inductive interference instead of progress. The elimination of social impedance. Most organizations are plagued by social friction, politics, ego, and the static of miscommunication. The Iron Man treats his team as a series of capacitors and resistors. You must identify those who store and amplify your energy, capacitors, and those who merely drain it through resistance, resistors. The global system of purpose. Tesla's Wardenclyffe project was not just about wireless power, it was about a world system of communication. To succeed at the highest level, your business or project must be a node in the global advancement of human energy. If your work only serves yourself, your voltage will always be limited by the size of your own ego. To master this chapter, you must look at your professional network not as a list of contacts, but as a complex circuit board. Are you wired for maximum flow, or are you choked by the high impedance personalities of the stagnant? Chapter 15. The Dialectric of Deep Focus. Tesla's ability to sit in total darkness and visualize complete machines was the result of a highly refined mental dialectric. In a capacitor, the dielectric is the insulating material that prevents the charge from jumping across the gap prematurely. In the mind of the dynamo, focus is the dielectric that holds the charge of an idea until it is ready to be released. The high-tension concentration. The modern world is a series of grounding wires designed to drain your cognitive voltage through trivial notifications and digital dopamine. To build your virtual workshop, you must increase the dielectric strength of your attention. This requires what Tesla called cerebral hygiene, the ruthless pruning of information that does not serve the ultimate goal. The physics of solitude. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the absence of resistance. In solitude, the mental dynamo can spin up to its maximum RPM without the air resistance of social expectation. Tesla knew that the most profound secrets of the universe are whispered, not shouted, and they can only be heard when the static of the world is silenced. Holding the image. Most men flicker. They have an idea, and then it vanishes at the first sign of difficulty. The Iron Man holds the image with such terrifying intensity that the physical world begins to rearrange itself to match the mental blueprint. This is not mysticism, it is the law of mental pressure. If you cannot maintain focus for more than a few minutes, your insulation is thin. You are leaking potential into the ground. You must rebuild your cerebral hygiene rituals until you can hold a single thought for hours without a single spark of distraction. Chapter 15. The Transformer of Adversity. Failure is not the end of a circuit, it is a phase shift. Tesla faced more frictional forces than almost any other man of his era: fires, bankruptcies, and the theft of his patents. Yet he remained a child of light because he knew how to use the heat of failure to temper his own resolve. The resistance of the skeptic. When the world tells you that your idea is impossible, it is simply offering you a high-resistance medium. In physics, resistance creates heat. The Iron Man uses the heat of public doubt to sublimate his own efforts, turning the frustration of being misunderstood into the propellant for his work. The energy in the wreckage. When Tesla's laboratory burned in 1895, he did not mourn the copper and glass. He understood that the mass of his knowledge was still intact. Failure is the universe's way of testing the insulation of your will. If you break, you are a wire that melted. If you persist, you become a stronger conductor. The conservation of dignity. Even when he was penniless, Tesla walked with the cold certainty of a scientist. He knew that his value was not determined by the market, but by his resonance with the truth. Money is a fleeting charge, but character is a permanent magnet. You must learn to look at a setback as a voltage spike. It is a sudden surge of energy that can either destroy your machine or be stepped down through your internal transformer into a steady, usable power for your next great leap. Chapter 7. The Frequency of Financial Flow. Tesla's relationship with money was that of an engineer, not a hoarder. He viewed money as circulating current. necessary for the increase of human energy, but dangerous if allowed to pool and stagnate. To achieve true independence, you must understand the electricity of capital, the impedance of greed. Greed is a low-frequency vibration that creates toxic friction in the soul. When a man becomes obsessed with the accumulation of gold rather than the flow of value, he becomes a dead battery. Tesla tore up contracts worth millions because he prioritized the acceleration of his work over the stagnation of his vault. The magnetic pull of excellence. If you build a machine that is perfectly synchronized with the universe, the filings of the market will eventually align toward you. You do not need to beg for social validation or investors if your internal voltage is high enough to be felt across the city. The iron price of independence. True financial independence is not about having enough money to relax. It is about having enough energy to say no to the forces of friction that wish to chain the lightning of your genius for their own narrow ends. To follow the Human Dynamo method, you must stop chasing wealth and start generating it through the sheer velocity of your purpose. If you are the tower that broadcasts power, the world will find a way to pay for the signal. Chapters 18. The Immortal Transmission. In his final years, Tesla was often seen talking to pigeons, a behavior the flickering candles of the world mocked. But to the Iron Man, this was a final exercise in universal empathy, the realization that every living thing is a part of the same cosmic dynamo. Tesla died alone, but his frequency remains eternally broadcast. The legacy as a vibration. Your life is a waveform that will continue to travel through the ether long after your biological battery has been recycled. The question is, what kind of signal are you leaving behind? Is it the static of a life spent in passivity or the pure tone of a life spent in creation? The final synchronization. To die synchronized, as Tesla did, is to have lived a life where every act was a multiple of 3, 6, and 9, where every effort was a part of a greater mathematical order. This is the ultimate completion. The 9. The perpetual switch. The Human Dynamo method is a blueprint for the electrification of the human will. It is a system that exists outside of time. The switch is not a physical object. It is a decision made in the high-voltage chambers of your own soul. The universe is waiting. The luminiferous ether is teeming with the energy you require to build your vision. You have the iron wisdom in your hands. You have the geometry of persistence in your mind. Now, there is only one act left. Flip the switch. Electrify your existence. Master the universe.